Beyond a quiet lane in Essex, a timber-framed house glows in the morning sun, and on its lawn stands a man still holding a notebook of batting drills. Graham Gooch, England's record-breaking run machine. What does life look like for a batsman who amassed 67,000 runs once the applause fades? Today, you'll step inside this warm English home that feels like a Connecticut colonial retreat, explore his fortune, lifestyle, and the journey from an East End boy to Alistair Cook's mentor. But first, let's go back in time to where it all began, the turning points in his career. Graham Allen Gooch entered the world on the 23rd of July, 1953 at Whipps Cross University Hospital in Leytonstone, London. A baby born into a working-class East End backdrop of brick terraces, small parks, and Sunday markets. He grew up with few luxuries but plenty of grit, attending Norlington School for Boys and later Layton County High, where cricket nets on cracked playgrounds and uneven public pitches taught him to improvise. At just 19, he burst onto the first-class scene for Essex against Lancashire at Chelmsford in 1973, scoring 1,057 runs at 35.23 in his maiden season. Essex, a mid-tier county, suddenly had an anchor, and Gooch formed formidable opening stands with Brian Hardy and later John Stevenson. His first 134, came in 1974 against Warwickshire. By 1979, he was top-scoring with 120 at Lord's in the Benson and Hedges Cup final, bringing Essex its first major trophy, a breakthrough moment for both club and player. When the Rebel Tour ban shut him out of England duty from 1982 to 1985, he didn't sulk. He dominated county cricket, piling up a record 2,559 runs at an average of 71.11 with 10 centuries in 1984 alone. Across 1973 to 1997, with a brief return in 2000, he would amass 31,347 runs at 49.66 for Essex, holding records for most runs, centuries, 94, and appearances, 384, plus 266 wickets with his medium pace. His Test career began with a baptism of fire. Selected for the 1975 Ashes at 21, he bagged a pair, 0-0, at Edgbaston and was dropped after managing just 6 and 31 at Lord's. Recalled in 1978, he began to show promise with scores of 39 and 46 at Trent Bridge and a half-century against Pakistan later that year. The breakthrough came at Lord's in 1980 with a maiden Test century, 123, against the fearsome West Indies attack, one of 3 early tons that showcased his technique against express pace. Named Wisden Cricketer of the Year in 1980, his pre-ban record stood at 1,614 runs in 22 matches at 31.45. After the ban, he rebuilt his reputation, scoring 183 against Australia in 1985 and forging England's most successful opening partnership with Mike Atherton. For U.S. viewers, picture a gritty leadoff hitter coming back from suspension to anchor his team's batting order. World Cups offered another stage. Gooch featured in 3 finals, 1979, 1987, 1992, a unique feat for an Englishman. He made his ODI debut in 1976 versus the West Indies. In the 1979 semi-final at the Oval, he blazed 71 off 83 to sink New Zealand, only to fall for 32 in the final defeat to the West Indies. Absent in 1983 due to the ban, he returned as England's top scorer in the 1987 tournament with 324 runs at 46.28, including a stunning 115 in the semi-final against Pakistan at Wankhede Stadium, his only World Cup century, propelling England to the final where he added 35 in a narrow loss to Australia. By 1992, he scored 265 runs at 44.16, captaining England to another final, but managing just 29 as Imran Khan's Pakistan scripted a famous win. Across 21 World Cup innings, he tallied 897 runs at 44.85 with 8 50s, cementing his status as England's second highest World Cup scorer. Coaching instincts were there all along. Even as an active player, Gooch mentored younger Essex teammates like Nasser Hussain. After retiring in 1997, he formalized that role, becoming Essex head coach in 2001 and guiding them to the county championship title in 2003. He then stepped back to a specialist batting coach role, focusing on technique and mental resilience. England called in 2009 for a South Africa tour under Andy Flower. By March 2012, he was full-time, credited with helping England rise to number 1 in tests and mentoring stars like Alistair Cook, whom he had coached since youth. His mantra, "Bat for long periods, respect the ball," became part of England's DNA. During an unbeaten 2009 to 2012 run, alongside coaching, he worked in broadcasting and selection from 1996 to 2000, blending analysis with hands-on guidance. From the muddy greens of East London to lifting trophies at Lord's, Graham Gooch's early life and career turning points reveal a man forged by resilience, failure, and sheer weight of runs. And now, as we step into his present, it's time to explore the place where this legend chose to settle. Graham Gooch's Essex home, coaching heritage in brick and timber. From the outside, it looks like something straight out of a postcard. A detached family home tucked among rolling green gardens, red brick and timber under a steep roofline. Imagine a New England farmhouse crossed with an English manor, one visitor quipped, and it's exactly that blend. Homely but substantial, rural but refined, built not for show but for living. This isn't a sterile athlete's palace. Inside, the reception hall sets the tone. Exposed timbers give a sense of age and character, while polished floors carry you toward a staircase that curves upward like a theater balcony. Through the rear French windows, you catch your first glimpse of the terrace and the gardens beyond, a view that floods the hallway with natural light. To one side sits the dining room, anchored by an open fireplace with a brick chimney, a detail that smells faintly of Sunday roasts and old cricketing tales. Across the hall, a cozy study glows with the heat of a gas fire. Here, Gooch keeps notebooks, old bats, and perhaps the occasional hairpiece endorsement photo from the 1990s. For American viewers, think of it as a den crossed with a coach's war room, maps replaced by scorecards, plays replaced by batting drills. At the heart of the house is a farmhouse kitchen that feels like the home's beating heart. An oil-fired aga radiates steady warmth. A pantry big enough to swallow up travel bags stands ready for team dinners. A central breakfast table offers a casual spot to review yesterday's highlights with a cup of tea. Then there's the showstopper, a 3-aspect living room where arched windows frame the garden like a living mural. An open fire with a brick chimney and a copper extractor hood brings rustic theater to the space, while more French windows spill onto the terrace. This is where you imagine Gooch analyzing Alistair Cook's cover drive on a rainy afternoon, or watching a World Cup final with old teammates, a place built for conversation as much as relaxation. The ground floor also hides a surprise. A light-filled room on 3 sides functions as a bedroom, garden room, or children's playroom depending on the day. Glass doors overlook the lawn, and a pointed arch leads into a vaulted ensuite bathroom complete with both bath and separate shower. It's the kind of flexible space you'd expect in a well-designed American family home, transplanted to the English countryside. Step back outside and the full picture comes into view. The garden stretches out in neatly cut lawns and mature trees, wrapping around a terrace ideal for alfresco dining under string lights in summer. There's room for cricket nets, family dogs, and the occasional charity barbecue. Gooch likes to joke that the only thing missing is a scoreboard to track coaching drills. And you believe him. The property feels lived in but aspirational, a working estate rather than a museum piece. For viewers used to the flash of U.S. sports mansions, this house offers a different kind of luxury. And it's from this Essex home that the next chapter of his life unfolds, which brings us neatly to the question of how this legendary opener turned his decades on the field into a solid, if understated, financial foundation: income and net worth. By most estimates, Gooch's net worth hovers around $3 million, comfortable by any measure, but modest compared to the fortunes amassed by today's global sports stars. During his playing career from 1973 to 1997, the game's economics were a world away from today's franchise leagues. His first Essex season in 1974 paid roughly $1,300, 1,074 pounds, barely enough to cover travel and gear. Test fees in the mid-1980s were about $1,200 per match, plus expenses, less than a season for a minor league baseball slugger, as one U.S. writer put it, but built on heritage, loyalty, and coaching rather than quick riches. Gooch supplemented those earnings with benefit seasons, club appearances, and limited overs leagues after the Kerry-Packer Revolution opened small new streams of income in the late 1970s. Where he excelled financially was in turning his experience into coaching and commentary. From 2009 to 2014, he served as England's batting coach under Andy Flower, and later temporarily under Peter Moores, reportedly in the $100,000 to $200,000 per year bracket. His best financial year, arriving in 2012 as England rose to number 1 in the world. Alongside this, he held ongoing commercial duties with Essex, youth development roles, and specialist coaching clinics, steady, unspectacular streams of income that fit his methodical personality. Media work and after-dinner speaking also added to the pot. Gooch became a familiar face on BBC and Sky Sports panels, offering technical insight rather than hot takes and commanding solid fees for one-off corporate events. Former teammates joke that his speeches are like his innings, unflashy at the start, but by the end you're hooked. Typical annual income from commentary and speaking is estimated at $50,000 or more, with spikes around high-profile series. Endorsements were never his mainstay, but provided memorable side notes. In the mid-1990s, he promoted Advanced Hair Studio and a London clinic, hairpiece commercials that raised eyebrows and delivered an estimated $50,000 to $100,000 over his career. He also lent his name to 2 cricket video games, Graham Gooch's Test Cricket, 1985, and Graham Gooch World Class Cricket, 1993, by Audiogenic. Royalties from these are believed to be modest, in the $10,000 to $50,000 range, but they gave him a foothold in a niche that would later explode with titles like EA Sports Cricket. For U.S. viewers, think of them as the Madden of English cricket before cricket gaming was cool. In an age when headline contracts can eclipse entire careers, his net worth is a reminder that cricket's golden eras were about legacy more than lucre. That legacy now extends beyond the field and the bank balance. From coaching camps to charity challenges, Gooch has spent as much time giving back as he did accumulating runs. Philanthropy. The best example is his long association with the Cricketers' Trust, formerly the PCA Benevolent Fund, which supports current and former professionals and their families in times of hardship. Gooch has not just lent his name, he has put boots on. In 2018, he helped organize a coast-to-coast walk, lacing up for miles of rain-slick paths to raise funds. In 2019, he led the 3 Peaks Challenge with Essex players, summiting Snowdon, Scafell Pike, and Ben Nevis in under 24 hours. An endurance test reminiscent of his long innings at the crease. Most recently, in 2024, he hosted the Golf Invitational in Portugal, raising £45,000 for the Trust's mental health and welfare programs. That willingness to push himself for others extends to the Tom Maynard Trust, which supports young cricketers' mental health, education, and welfare. The 2019 3 Peaks Challenge benefited both charities, a double act Gooch described as climbing for futures. His own Graham Gooch Scholarship Fund embodies the same ethos. Founded and personally funded in the early 2000s, it pays for overseas tours, training, and equipment for underprivileged young players in the Essex Cricket Academy. Alumni include Alistair Cook, a living testament to Gooch's belief in long-term mentoring. Beyond cricket, Gooch has taken on patronage roles that reflect compassion more than publicity. Since at least 2020, he has been a patron of the Rob George Foundation, which aids young cancer patients and aspiring performers or athletes facing life challenges. He provides personal endorsements and shares his own experiences to encourage young beneficiaries. In 2023, he visited the Little Princess Trust headquarters to tour its wig-making facilities and show support for children experiencing medical hair loss. He also steps up for military veterans. In 2025, he donated his share from the Lord's Long Lunch event to Help for Heroes, contributing to 10,290 pounds raised, enough to fund more than 400 mental health sessions for wounded, injured, and sick armed forces personnel and their families. That same spirit of giving carried him into hospital charities. In 2021, he played in a charity cricket match that raised £14,000 for the Princess Alexandra Hospital Charity's patient care projects. In 2022, he was guest speaker at the Bedfordshire Hospital's NHS Charity Cricket Luncheon at Luton Hoo, raising money for a children's critical care room appeal. Gooch also lends his name to the future of sport itself. In 2023, he presented awards at a sports aid event in Milton Keynes, recognizing emerging talents such as para-swimmer Ida, a moment he described as passing the baton. Hospice and family support causes round out his calendar. Gooch Hospice Care, which provides end-of-life care for adults and children, benefited from a 2024 festive lunch he attended with Lashing's World 11 cricket legends. He supported a 2024 charity lunch in Tunbridge Wells for Tailor-Made Dreams, granting experiences to children with life-limiting illnesses, and appeared at a Home Start Hertfordshire event to help families of young children facing difficulties. And to understand the man who does all this, you have to step back from the public events and look at the private world he's built around them. Personal life. Graham Gooch married his long-term girlfriend Brenda in 1976, just as his career with Essex was taking off. For years, they were spoken of as one of the solid couples in English cricket. Brenda at the players' balcony, Graham walking out to bat, a quiet counterpoint to the glamour of other sports. But the lifestyle of a full-time international cricketer in the 1980s was relentless. Tours stretched months, and as England's captain, he was often the last man off the field and the first into meetings. By the early 1990s, the strain showed. In 1992, as England embarked on a tour of India and Sri Lanka with Gooch in charge, news broke of his divorce. After 16 years of marriage, the split became public just as he was trying to hold a team together on subcontinental pitches. Teammates later spoke of their sympathy for a man they saw as a devoted father of 3 young daughters, all under 9 at the time, trying to juggle leadership and loss. After the divorce, Gooch rebuilt his private life in quieter fashion. He began a long-term relationship with Julia, settling back into Essex and establishing a home base that was less about headlines and more about everyday rhythm. Controversy, of course, was never far away. In 1982, at the age of 28, Gooch accepted the captaincy of a rebel tour to apartheid-era South Africa. It was an act of defiance that cost him 3 years of Test cricket, drew sharp media criticism, and left a permanent asterisk next to his name. Although many believe Jeff Boycott had been the chief organizer, Gooch bore the brunt as leader. Looking back, he has acknowledged the hurt it caused his international career, but has also used the experience as a cautionary tale for younger players about ethics, opportunity, and consequence. For American viewers used to seeing ex-athletes chase television gigs, Gooch's story is different. He built a second career, not around controversy, but around craft, teaching, coaching, and funding the Graham Gooch Scholarship Fund to help state school players travel abroad. It is a legacy of heritage rather than hype, the same understated values reflected in his Essex home. We hope you've enjoyed stepping past the scorecards to see his house, his story, and the values that shaped him. If you loved this look inside, please hit like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss our next deep dive into the homes and lives of sporting legends. Your support keeps these stories alive and growing.